Thank you, Mr. Showman. So I hope everybody had a good day so far, and a lot of interesting workflow. I was impressed about some crowds. I hope you'll have had a chance to ask the questions. There's still time before dinner, at dinner, after dinner, tomorrow morning, and until tomorrow afternoon. So it's just the beginning. So yes, Dave asked me to address the crowd. Who's new to the customer conference this year? Quite a lot. Okay. Always the same guy jumping. He does that every year. And, so we're going to write down his name. No, I'm asking because every year I try to have a note, an address to everybody. I remember several years ago, that was the first time we were here, I think. We were on the other side of the business center, and I made an address calling "We're in the Same Boat." I think I'm happy about that address because we've been doing a lot together in the same boat, meaning that we are part of this ecosystem. We call it a radio ecosystem. I have another question for you. Who only works in radio in this group? Raise your hand if you're let's say 90% of your work is about radio. That's my question. Yeah. Okay, so there are some people working in radio and TV in terms of responsibility and activity. I guess because the other ones are working in TV. Let's just check that. Who has some regular activities in TV here? Okay, so very few out of it. And if you are part of this world, whether you're in the US with the political excitement going there, or in Europe with also the political excitement going there, I'm thinking about our Polish friends and people like this, or Swiss friends and French friends, and there's even been some discussions recently that you've seen in Germany regarding investments towards DAB+, etc. It's a shaky moment. We call that the turmoil in public service broadcasting, and at the same time, it's a shaky moment for those who are working in private radio organization, and we think it's an opportunity. So we think it's an opportunity for radio, because it's an opportunity for us in the radio business to remind people how we do things in radio, how the lean, the frugal way of doing radio can be a model, can be a help, can be a benefit to these organizations in their moving forward activities. So I put together a couple of simple slides. This first slide says, can this shake-up here be smart? Can we do smart things? And our view is that, in particular, it's in the moment of change that you have to have the courage to dare do things interesting, to dare to innovate. And this example is a great one. I don't know if anybody doesn't know this device, but it's a Dyson fan. And Dyson had the smart idea to say, I'm going to do a fan, I'm going to remove the propeller. Or at least I'm going to remove it from the side of the user, so I can solve a lot of problems like putting your finger on the fan, or worse. And so it's in these moments when you think that nothing or everything's been done, that you have to consider to start doing smart things. And also on the other part, for those who are working in radio and TV organizations, by default, I don't know what are exactly the mass in your countries or in your respective organizations, but you know that the big part of the money usually is in TV and the smaller part of the money is in radio. And it's always tempting that the big part is being addressed and the big part takes more of the money because there's less money to take. So you need to take money from somewhere. Okay, that's part of the entertainment. then and it's usually a mistake that's done. So with our responsibilities, with our respective responsibilities in radio, it's important to remind people that you need the money in radio, you need the fundings in radio, because there are very interesting things to do in radio. So that's the message we're trying to put forward here. Try to do this. Oh, well, we took some examples here. First is the example is question that we have is visual radio a fad? Okay. If you recognize, I don't know if you see this, but this is a Post-it. You know, who remembers the Post-it war? Okay. That was a fad, right? It doesn't exist anymore. I think it was good probably for the Post-it people. It made them sell a lot during those quarters, but it's a fad. The question regarding visual radio, is it a fad? We don't think so. Visual radio has been around for, I don't know, some people in the room have been at the beginning of it, I would say, like I'm thinking of Ale Mioto, who's probably here, who's been working on this area for about 10 years now, or a bit more maybe. It's not a fad, it's an experiment. If you look at it globally, for all of our radio organizations that we know, it's nothing mainstream, it hasn't replaced and will not replace audio. It's an element of illustration. It's a bit immature, no disrespect to any of the attempts that have been made worldwide, but it's a bit immature. However, it's been proving that it's very helpful. For example, I was referring to a private radio organization called RTL 102.5, and with visual radio, they've been able to address a totally new market and occupy a space that hurts their competitors in the area of TV, for example, by using cleverly, since we're David, and using cleverly Turbo Player in order to address both an audio program and a multimedia program. That's an example of it. The other phenomenon that's very interesting is the fact that since 10 years when we started doing visual radio, the GAFA of the world have done a massive investment, as you've seen, in hundreds of billions of euros into our world in order to make things available to us, like these commodities, smartphones, other commodities like networks, and other commodities like on-demand video have created all these market demands for us, which makes it easy for us when we're doing a radio program to have multiple platforms to talk to. So if you combine the experience that we have in visual radio and the availability of all these devices, of these access, it's the right moment to go to the industrial phase of multimedia production, multi-channel distribution, that can be also a visual radio experience. So I think for those who've been the pioneers of this, thank you for doing that. And for those in the GAFA have worked for us, thank you also for setting the environment for us to be able to distribute our programs in a more multimedia way than before. That's another positive where radio can do more from here moving forward. Now, about weaving radio and TV together. Some people, in particular some politicians, but some people think of doing many things. One is that we don't really need all these activities between Facebook, Netflix, etc. We should have enough of media normally. That some people think this, and as I said this morning, thankfully this is the public is saying no to that. The public is saying we need public media, or we need diversified media. That's one. But now, how do we go about effectively weaving things together? And we think there's a first weaving doesn't mean merging. If you want to have a nice set of colors, if you mix everything together, it's not really interesting. It's about trying to weave it the smart way in order to get out of it a frame, either that's a solid frame or a picture that's a beautiful tapestry, by weaving it together. And we think first the infrastructure itself. You have a lot of opportunities to build from your infrastructure into other areas, such as digital, such as visual radio, we talked about a couple seconds ago, by seizing the opportunities where they are. So new demand for new programs, look what your infrastructure can do today, reach out to those who have those capabilities and see how you can interwork together. That's the first best practice we'd like to recommend. The second best practice is, if you are in a radio and a TV organization, try to, of course, you don't decide everything, but try to start from building from the radio ground. Why do you want to build from the radio ground? Because if you can run a show with one person, it's easier to add another person to do something, it's easier to add another person to do something else, or it's easier to add another process to fix the problem you want to address. Whereas if you come at it from a TV environment where you usually have many more people who are doing the job, it's much more difficult to remove the jobs, to remove the setups, and to redesign the workflow from the large to the lean. So it's better to build from the lean side in order to expand in complexity. And this has been proven. If you look at a couple shows, they've been proven that they are able to add a visual functionality to the show and gain the attraction to the audio content, because of course the visual brand is a very useful, this is a very beautiful color set, for example. It attracts the eyes, and if it attracts the eyes, it attracts the eyes to your brand. That's one of the obvious benefit of putting visual. You know, if you just put everybody knows normally that if you put an image on Twitter, it has 6 times more time to be clicked on than if you put no image and just your text. So, and if you think about how poor audio is in regards to representation on the internet from a visual point of view, we still have a lot to gain from all these capabilities of representation. So it's about working together, but ideally from the radio workflows is a good way to start. Now, what about the staff? And the staff, this question is more about flexibility and of course, I'm not going to enter the details that, by the way, I don't know, but of your respective companies, organizations in regards to professions, in regards to how your jobs are evolving, but it's more feedback on the experience that we have in working in this environment. That we see that the people who are working in radio are naturally equipped in 2 areas. They're naturally equipped with the flexibility of dealing with very critical topics such as audio topics, and critical topics such as being on time at the millisecond close so that the news can happen when it needs to happen. That's one of the key characteristics of audio professionals and radio professionals. The other characteristic of radio professionals is that for most of you, or many of you, you've been working in a digital world for 25 years at least. You know, this digital revolution that we're talking about has been the bread and butter of this company, David, but also of your jobs in your organizations, if you've been around for a significant amount of time, to work in file-based workflows, to work in integrating new technologies, and therefore inherently the staff in radio has a lot of experience into this kind of flexibility, this kind of adding things to its work. And this has been said, proven, seen by many people we've been talking to recently, that says that the inherent ability of radio professionals to enter a stage, to set up at a location, to be able to just make the thing happen is one of the key assets for radio. So it's an important investment in you, an important investment in capabilities that we should insist on. And our job at David, to be simple about it, is and we have work to do there, and your feedback is very important to tell us if the work is good or if the work is not good enough yet. We have work to do to make things simpler for you, to make multimedia simpler for you, to make accessing artificial intelligence solutions, integrate them easily into your workflows, integrate video into your workflows, integrate sound analysis into your workflows, make your lives easier, but from a very solid base that we have, which is a team of people who are used to adapting to change. And that's another important asset for radio. So, guess what? We are extremely optimistic that this change in public broadcasting or in media in general, this reconsideration of what are the missions for radio and TV, and whether or not radio will gain for it, we're extremely optimistic that radio is the right place to be. not specifically that, we have of course nothing against TV, we just think that the potential, the ubiquity in radio, the fact that it's so essential to our societies, make it a medium of the future, and its ability to take on new use cases, new usage, new formats to take along, whether it's video, whether it's text, whether it's any form of electronic representation, is unique. So you know already that radio has changed a lot from this situation, and it's our job altogether to move it forward in the future. But I'm pretty sure that 20, 30, 50 years down the road, we'll see radio as an essential medium of our societies, and it's not going to end anytime soon. So thanks for your attention, and have a good customer conference. Dave?
That's it. That's the show.
And let the archery begin.
Yeah, let the
Let the arrows fly.